Okay, so let's get into one of the weirdest, most paradoxical economic stories happening anywhere on the planet right now. We're going to try and make sense of what's going on in Venezuela, where you have this glittering illusion of wealth that's hiding a really deep, really broken system. I want you to picture this. You're walking down a street, right? And on one side you see people, they're digging through trash, just desperate to find something, anything to eat. Then you turn the corner and you see a brand new, gleaming store. And people are walking out with PlayStation 5s and fancy imported groceries. This isn't some made-up scenario. It's the actual jarring reality in parts of Venezuela today. And there's a name for this bizarre situation. It's been called the zombie economy of the two-tiered state. And that phrase just nails it, doesn't it? It captures this feeling of an economy that, it looks alive on the surface, but it's fundamentally dead underneath. It really is like something straight out of the Twilight Zone. So to really get what's happening, we first have to understand this tale of two completely different Venezuelas. There's the country that the vast majority of people live in, and then there's the one that exists inside this strange, isolated economic bubble. And that bubble, that's the Bodegón bubble. A bodegón is basically just a shop that sells imported luxury stuff. But what they've created is a full-blown Mirage economy. It gives you the impression of wealth, of recovery, but it's a world that's only open to a tiny, tiny elite. And yeah, the US dollar is legal to use now, but that doesn't mean anything if you have absolutely no way to earn it. So how on earth did this happen? How did this bubble even form? Well, to get to the root of it, we have to talk about the death of a currency. The core issue, the event that kicked this whole thing off, was the complete and total collapse of Venezuela's own money, the bolivar. After years and years of hyperinflation, it just became worthless. It was basically paper. And that collapse created this huge vacuum. The bolivar was worthless paper, and something had to fill that void. That something was the US dollar. The dollar became the new king. It was the only thing that had any stable value. But, and this is the absolute key to the whole story, if you don't have access to dollars, you are completely locked out of this new economy. Which naturally leads to the next question. Who is able to thrive in this new dollarized system? So let's take a look inside what's been called the 5% Club. It's the obvious question, right? In a country with such widespread poverty and hunger, who are these people walking into a fancy shop and casually paying 15 US dollars for a jar of Nutella? Well, the answer is a very, very small group of people. We're talking about government cronies, high-ranking military officials, basically the politically connected elite. They're the only ones who have a steady pipeline to US dollars, often through shady deals or state funds that lets them live inside this bubble. And this chart, it just says it all. It shows you the brutal reality of that two-tiered state. You've got this tiny 5% slice of the population living in the Bodegón bubble, and then you have a massive 95%, everyone else, left to scrape by in the ruins of the old economy. The inequality is just staggering. Okay, so this brings us to the engine room of this whole system. Because it's not just about inequality. It's about what's actually fueling this entire illusion. It is, quite literally, a champagne-fueled mirage. So how does it actually work? Well, there's a pretty stunning theory that says these bodegones are, for some, a giant money laundering scheme. And the process is brutally simple. Step 1, you get your hands on a bunch of illicit money. Step 2, you use that dirty money to import high-end luxury stuff, champagne, electronics, you name it. And step 3, you sell those goods in your shiny new store, and the US dollars you get back are now clean, totally untraceable. The bubble isn't just a sign of wealth, it's an engine for cleaning dirty money. And this is why so many observers are looking at this and just shaking their heads. This isn't a real economic recovery. As the quote says, you can't fix an economy with imported Nutella. It's just a mirage. Nothing is actually being produced. It's all just a facade built on imports. So let's circle back to the 95% of Venezuelans living on the outside, looking in. For them, this whole situation boils down to one final, impossible question. This right here is the dilemma they have to deal with every single day. Just look at this choice. On one hand, you have the national currency, the bolivar, which you might actually have, but it's worthless. On the other hand, you have a stable currency, the US dollar, that could actually buy things. But you can't get it. You can't afford it. So I want to leave you with that question. Seriously, put yourself in their shoes. Which do you choose? A currency that's worthless or a currency you can't access? It is a brutal, impossible choice with no good answer, and it's the daily reality for millions of people. And that really brings us to the final takeaway, the cynical moral of this entire story. You can't produce your way out of a crisis with imported champagne. It's a powerful reminder that the appearance of wealth and a real, productive economy are two completely different things.